Rainollon here. Today is yet again another build showcase, and it's Hystrix. So, let us immediately start. Let's start with the mods first. The mods I'm using on my Hystrix, I'm using Target Cracker for critical damage, Pistol Pestilence for Toxin stat chance, Ice Storm for magazine capacity, and Cold and Toxin gives you Viral. This weapon's magazine size is really bad, and I will highly recommend for you to go for this. No joke. Galvanized Crosshair for critical chance while aiming, Merciless Gunfight for critical damage, and 1.2 punch through. It needs some clear, so Merciless Gunfight kind of makes a ton of sense. I did remove Lethal Torrent, which gives you fire rate and multi-shot, but believe me, you kind of need clear with this weapon. Galvanized Diffusion for multi-shot, Galvanized Shot for stat chance and direct damage percentage from target, and Prime Heated Charge for heat. These are the mods. For the Exos Weapon Adapted Slot mods, I will highly recommend for you to go is Steady Hands. This weapon's recoil does exist, and this will fix it entirely. For the Arcane, Secondary Shiver is quite interesting on this weapon because of the passive. Passive has a guaranteed chance to proc heat, electricity, cold, and toxin. So if I have a guaranteed chance to proc cold, this makes a ton of sense to use. Enemies take 45% damage per cold status, and you can proc a lot of cold, which is 10. So 10 times 45, that's 450% increased damage, which is a lot of damage. Also, cold gives you critical damage, and when you freeze enemies, they also take more critical damage. So this is a ton of damage increase overall. It's quite nice. For the passive, alternative fire switches between toxin, heat, electricity, and cold. Effects that scale with the weapon's base damage. So this is the interesting part. So if you switch to toxin, you have a guaranteed chance to proc toxin with your toxin shots. If you switch to heat, you have a guaranteed heat procs, electricity for electricity, and cold for cold. It's quite interesting. And it's also a flat cold, toxin, and heat, and electricity. So what that means is it's not going to combine with other elements. So if I were to grab the cold and I have heat over here, you'll like, isn't this going to be blast? No, I'm going to do both heat and cold, which is quite nice. For the stats, the fire rate is fine for this weapon type, I will say. Magazine size is bad. Maximum ammo and ammo from pickup is good. Reload is good. Accuracy is medium, which is not good. Trigger is auto, which is fine. 1.2 punch through thanks to Merciless Gunfight. Riven Disposition is quite good. Critical chance, critical damage, multi-shot is by far the best in slot, and you can remove Merciless Gunfight, but you will lose the 1.2 punch through. In my personal opinion, I will just not recommend a Riven at all. Critical chance is good, critical multi is good, stash chance is below average, total damage is below average. It does have the Fire Quill, which is guaranteed chance to proc heat, electricity, cold, and toxin. Overall, the weapon's stats are kind of whatever. But yeah, that's it. Those are the stats, the passive, the mods, the arcane, and I think it's time for me to show you this weapon in game. I'm going to only use the Hystrix Prime, Ember, no Sentinel Dog or Cat, no primary, no melee, just this weapon and Ember. That's it. So, let us immediately start. Alright, we are finally in. I'm up against the corrupted enemies at the Void, Steel Path of course, Survival, the map's called Mod. I'm going to show you this weapon in here. No buffs or armor strip, just the weapon doing its own work. Oh, mamma mia. Please, no. There we go. This weapon is nothing mind-blowing, it just had some very interesting ideas. Biggest downside to the Hystrix is the magazine size. Why is it so small? Even with Ice Storm, it's still small. But having a guaranteed chance to proc one of the elements, one of the 4 elements, is just quite nice. And how do you switch between those elements? Middle mouse. You can see bottom right, it says Ice Quills. If I press middle mouse, now it's poison. Press middle mouse again, it's fire. You can utilize Cascade Flare to get easy stacks to 480. With Cascade Flare, you can utilize that electricity mod one. Forget the name of. Conjuring? Whatever it's called. Arcane Conjuring, which gives you like multi-shot and real speed with electricity procs. Secondary Shiver if you use cold like me. And there's no Toxin. Primaries have a Toxin Arcane, but we don't have on a secondary. if the enemy ever gets frozen, like this, that was 9 stacks, and once you freeze them, your critical damage will skyrocket and your overall damage will also skyrocket really, really high. But yeah, doesn't have any clear. Single target is like solid. I will say above average compared to most enemies, especially if you can armor strip enemies. We cannot armor strip Acolytes. Not armor strip, the freeze enemies. We cannot freeze Acolytes. I hope War spawns, but I also think you can't freeze War. I think the most stacks you can add with cold is like 4. There we go, frozen. And now shots will do much more damage. Heat proc right there killed him. It's really nice to see you can proc both heat and cold. And they don't combine into... what do you call it? Blast. But yeah, nothing mind-blowing. Just a very unique, interesting weapon. With Korra, if you use Korra with this, there's an 8% chance when you kill enemy it refills your magazine, which is not a lot. 8%? How can you even call that a passive? Let me just grab one of these guys before I fail the mission. Yoink. Alright, boop 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 boop. Before this I did use Lethal Torrent for far 80 multi-shot. Single target wise it's better, but you lose the 1.2 punch through. And you need it. Like the weapon has no clear. Maximus enemy frozen. Yep. 167,000 puncher damage. It's a very unique setup. Not a lot of weapons can properly utilize Shiver. You can with a Warframe, like Frost for example, or if you use like Thermal Transfer Cold Gauss, you can, but not every proper Warframe can utilize it like this. Like this weapon. Epitap also has the exact same system. When you tap Epitap, it has a guaranteed chance to proc cold. So you tap a couple of times and you freeze enemies and you can use Shiver for a huge amount of damage increase. That works absolutely. Alright, the Acolyte is here. Let me just kill a bunch of enemies here. Alright, the Acolyte. I need to reload. Yeah, you can't freeze them, which is a massive shame. I wish you could. But they are really, really slow. And that's the Acolyte. Where's War? Oh, he's stuck. Whoa. Yeah, you don't do a lot of damage to War as well. Where's War? There he is. Yeah, I'm not doing a lot of damage. You can't freeze them, so it's useless. Alright, it's time for me to extract, and I'll be right back. The Hystrix is quite unique. There's a lot of build diversity around it, but the problem is it doesn't fit in this game. This is a horde shooter when you get attacked by a large amount of groups of enemies, and it's not really that good at clearing. And when it comes to single target DPSing, it's like better than most single target DPS pistols, but the problem is it relies on status procs, which is the heat, the electricity, the toxin and cold, and against like Acolyte, War and some other enemy types that you can't really proc more than 4 status effects, it kind of falls off. It's a very unique weapon, I like it a lot, but sadly it just doesn't fit the game. And yeah, that's the Hystrix build. I hope you enjoyed the build. Thank you yet again everybody for watching. Leave a like, sub, and of course, see you all next time. Thank you. Goodbye.